This episode of Buy Black Podcast is brought to you by Haptic Consulting. Haptic Consulting specializes in maximizing the value your organization gets from its training budget by focusing on business needs, eliminating unnecessary training development, and helping you build a culture of engagement from the executive level down. Visit www.hapticconsulting.com to learn how I can help you develop better leaders, happier employees, and a more profitable company culture. Or you can email me at gerald@hapticconsulting.com. That's GERALD@hapticconsulting.com. Now let's get into the show.
And so I'm on a mission to help us become wealthy. Yes, I am going to raise up 1 million millionaires here over the next few years. And so all the processes are in place. We're ready for takeoff. And so what we're doing right now is quietly loading up the vehicle, those that's ready to that want to really understand what a captive millionaire is. So everything is ready to go. I didn't know it would take this long, but it's not my will be done, but it's the one that created me. And so I know everything is about timing, and the timing right now, impeccable to begin to move folks, those that's ready to go to the wealthy place.
Buy Black Podcast, episode 42. Dr. Gerald Higginbotham's plan to make 1 million millionaires in the next 36 months using cryptocurrency. Welcome to Buy Black, the only podcast dedicated to helping you find, connect with, and support Black-owned businesses. We're on a mission to bring consumers and business owners together to ignite the global Black economy. I'm your host, Gerald Jones, and if you're a Black business owner or a socially conscious consumer, you've joined the right community. Ready? Let's get to work. Hey everybody, welcome back to Buy Black, your only podcast dedicated to helping you find and connect with Black-owned businesses. I want to jump in this week for episode number 42 and started off just by apologizing for taking the week off unexpectedly. As some of you may know, I'm in the process right now of building a really big garden in my backyard. It's like 360 square feet of planting space. And I had a very big pile of dirt that was delivered to my house, and it was on my driveway. So I had to move that dirt from the driveway to my backyard, which is about a 50 or 60 yard haul, up the hill to the garden, and then get it into the boxes in the garden. And all in all, it took me about 4 hours a day for 4 days to do this all by myself. So with all that going on, I did not have the time to put out another episode because not having that dirt sitting in front of my house was a higher priority. But that's all done now, and we are coming with another episode for you today. Some quick housekeeping notes. I'm going to go ahead and do those up front because at the end of the episode, we're just going to close it out, and I will see you guys next week. But housekeeping things. First thing, the Facebook group that is out there, Buy Black Podcast Community. I want to remind you guys to jump in and join that Facebook group. It is continuing to grow, and I've now started to do more posts in the group, specifically business-related posts, entrepreneurship-related posts. I'm going out and finding articles and blog posts and things that will be very useful for those of us who either want to support Black-owned businesses or start our own Black-owned businesses. So getting a lot more information jumping in there. I would love to see you in the group and you going out and finding these articles, finding this information, finding businesses for us to support, and you post inside the group, because that's really what it's all there for. Is just a community space for us to go out, find information that can help each other know better and do better immediately. So join us in the Facebook group, Buy Black Podcast Community, as well, reminding you guys about the app itself. Wherever you happen to be listening right now, I would love for you to subscribe to the show through Apple Podcasts or iTunes. That just helps us move up the rankings and more people find the show. But for listening, I would really love it if you would download the actual standalone app. If you go to buyblackpodcast.com/app, you can download the standalone app for this podcast, either for your Android or for your iPhone. And when you do that, be sure to give us a 5-star review on the app. It's also going to help us push up the rankings and help people who find it see, hey, it's a quality product. So just reminders to do those things. And then for today's episode, we're going to be talking to Dr. Gerald Higginbotham. And I want to give a quick shout out to one of our listeners, Carol Johnson. Over the last couple of weeks, she has introduced me to 3 great guests who are going to be on the show. Dr. Higginbotham is the first one that we have coming to you. And we are going to be talking today about making 1 million millionaires through cryptocurrency over the next 36 to 48 months. So I am very excited about this show, very excited about the things that I learned talking to Dr. Higginbotham, and I think you're going to enjoy it as well. So I am not going to spend any more time talking about it. Let's just jump right in. Today, folks, we are going to be talking to Dr. Gerald Higginbotham. He is a pilot. He is a coach. He's an author. He is the author of 2 great books. One is This Is Your Captain Speaking, and then the other is Intro to Collaboration, Teamwork, and Networking. And he is also the Senior Vice President of American Slaves Incorporated and the Vice President of Social and Economic Relations at a new company called GoldCoin, which is one of the collaborative cryptocurrency companies out there. And today, Dr. Higginbotham is going to be talking to us about his plans to make 1 million millionaires. Dr. Higginbotham, thank you for joining me today. And is it all right if I call you Gerald?
Hey, you can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner.
All right. Well, I'm going to call you Gerald because I want to confuse the audience, so we can just go back and forth with the Geralds today.
Excellent.
So jumping in, I don't like to run my mouth too much when I got an expert of your caliber on the show. So I just want to hand it right on over to you. Just talk to us a bit about your background. Let the folks get to know you.
Okay. I'm originally from the Los Angeles area, and I live out in the St. Louis, Missouri area at the moment. My background, I've been on a mission for the last 50 years. I accepted a call in my life the night that Dr. King was assassinated. Community in Los Angeles burned down for the second time. So I said the second time. The first time was August 11th, 1965. I was 7. It was the Watts riot was literally in my backyard. And so I got a wake-up call during that time period. And 3 years later, Dr. King was assassinated. I accepted the call in my life to we got to fix this thing. So I've been on a mission. It's been just over 50 years. My background, I'm a community developer. I develop people, coach. I develop training programs that will literally empower and transform people's lives. I teach leadership development. I've set up under the John Maxwell Group. I'm a commercial airline captain. I've had the opportunity to travel around the world and have been in places where many of us have not had the opportunity to visit. And so I've been on this mission, and part of my life work is to close the income gap between the rich and the poor. And so it's all tied together. And so I've been at this here for 50 years, and I've learned some things that can really help to move us from poverty, ignorance, dependency, and complacency now to knowledge, wealth, power, interdependency. And it's something that we have to do because our nation right now, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, and our nation has been slanted towards helping out the wealthy people. And so I'm on a mission to help us become wealthy. Yes, I am going to raise up 1 million millionaires here over the next few years. And so all the processes are in place. We're ready for takeoff. And so what we're doing right now is quietly loading up the vehicle, those that's ready to that want to really understand what a captain millionaire is. So everything is ready to go. I didn't know it would take this long, but it's not my will be done, but it's the one that created me. And so I know everything is about timing, and the timing right now, impeccable to begin to move folks, those that's ready to go to the wealthy place.
Awesome.
So I've been at this journey here for quite a while now.
I love it.
On this journey, actually.
Before we start jumping in and talking about, the plan to build those millionaires, I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about those experiences that you had. So You know, you're an airline captain. You've traveled all over the world, and you said there's a lot of things that you've seen, a lot of things you've learned that, you know, the larger community may not have gotten to experience. What are some of those things? What are some of the things that stick out the most, and what are those lessons that we could take from them?
Well, there's 7 questions that we got to get answered. It took me 36 years to get answered and to map out a simple but comprehensive plan. And having tested, having lost a couple $1 million in the process, you learn from that. But I want to give your audience 7 questions. The reason why we're in the condition that we're in is because we have not asked the right questions. And when you don't ask the right questions, you will not get the right answer. And there's 7 specific basic questions, and I want to give them to them. And one of the first question that we got to get answered, and it's got like 5 parts to it, A, B, C, D, E. Who created you? The B part of it, who are you? C part of that, what are you? D part of that, what should you be becoming? The E part of that, what should you be doing as you walk on the planet? That's one question. Second question that I had to get answered, where are we visibly positioned in American society, socially, politically, and economically? Before I take that jet flying, I do know my starting point. I know my longitude and latitude. It's critical because if I don't know my starting point, not only am I in trouble, but everybody else to get on board the vehicle is going to have an issue. Third question that I had to get answered. If you don't, once you've identified where you are, if you don't change, where could you potentially wind up? Because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep producing the same result. And the definition of insanity, madness, crazy, or plain old stupidity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different outcomes. That fourth question popped up. If you don't like where you could potentially wind up, where do you need to be? What's your new destination? What vehicle gets you there? What's the flight plan or life plan? How long will it take? Fifth question, how did we get in the present predicament that we're in today? Because not knowing how you got to where you are today, a lesson not learned, it is soon repeated until you learn it. Sixth question, if you're not flying the jet or driving the process, who is and where they currently taking you? The B part of the question, why am I still on board this vehicle or still part of this process? And the C part of the question, how do I get off? And then the seventh question that you got to get answered, am I now willing? Am I now ready to pay the cost to get to my new destination? Those are 7 thought-provocative questions that has driven my life. And everything up until this moment in time has been a part of getting us and developing the plan to get us to where we need to be. And so my experience, one of the major questions that I had to get answered, how did we get in the present predicament that we're in today? I had the opportunity to go back to the beginning. Einstein said you cannot solve a problem at the same level in which it was created. You've got to go back to the beginning. And so I went back to the beginning. I've had opportunity, and this is what I was saying, that I've been in places where our group have not been. I've had the opportunity to speak at the House of Lords of London. That's an honor in with it itself. I had the opportunity to go visit Lord Alton, and he had me there. And I saw the power. Great Britain was here in the United States before America was ever in existence. This man here recommended that I go up to Liverpool, England, because he's the Lord over Liverpool, England. I went up there and I saw what happened. I had a paradigm shift, and it really hit me so hard that we really don't know our history. We're still dealing with decisions that were made by the people over in Liverpool, England, that are still affecting us to this day. And if you don't understand that piece, no matter what you do, you can't solve the puzzle. It's just like being 1 degree off course in the jet. You're not going to arrive at your destination. It ain't going to happen. And so going over there, I saw how Liverpool, England spooled up slavery from Liverpool, England, here in the United States. They sent 1.6 million slaves to the Americas. And out of that 1.6 million that they sent, 400,000 went to the 7 southern states for one purpose only, to pick that cotton, put it on Liverpool flag boat, ship it back to Liverpool, and process it for their fashion industry. Liverpool was like New York in the day. How New York is today, the fashion industry, Liverpool was that. All the bankers were involved in it. The shipping company, the insurance company, even I saw the company that built the weapons that beat the slaves. It's still over there on display. And I said to myself, it was all about economics. They used this as a currency. And so I came back home. I was on fire, my brother Gerald. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was laser focused. I said, we got to own our own currency. We got to own our own economic system. And so one thing about leadership, I've learned one of the laws is the law of priority. You got to do first thing first. You know, the primary system in any society is the economic system. I don't care if it's a communist, Republican, Czech, democracy. The economic system is the primary system in any society. And so you have to put that in front of everything here, because here in America, our nation is a nation about business, capitalism. And so I came back on fire, and I saw how, and you know what, when I think about it now, it drives me. We're still dealing with the after effect of slavery. It has never been put to bed. I mean, even still today, when you have a president that can just think of an idea and then, you know, I'm going to create $1.5 trillion debt out of thin air and then get 51 of his cronies to pass it. So now it's law that corporate America can steal out the people's paycheck, legally steal. That's still American economic slavery. Mm-hmm. And so part of my logic, I said, okay, if this person here can create $1.5 trillion debt out of thin air and force it on we the people, I will be that person that will create $1 trillion asset for we the people. So 1 million millionaires equates to $1 trillion. So that's kind of like my philosophy behind it. Now, having said that, they sold my people into slavery. Slavery was a business here in the United States. It was strictly business. America bred slaves. They sold them on Main Street, and Main Street represent Wall Street. And Wall Street, we were considered a commodity, chattel slavery. And the revelation that I got was, if drive got you up into an enclosed garage, if you want to get out of the garage, you're going to have to put the vehicle in reverse. You got to use the same process that got you up in there to get you back out. I said, we're going to have to use Wall Street. And so my mind was just racing when I came back home. And I'm going to tell you, your words are very powerful. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. And I said, okay, we're going to have to use Wall Street. Anyway, the bottom line, and that's when the gold coin, cryptocurrency, was sitting out there spinning out there in the crypto market. And I tell you what, it is the greatest thing, and I give God Almighty the glory for what he has given us to begin to empower the people, to move them from really where they are really to where they need to be. So that's how I got into the cryptocurrency. It was out of my experience that I had over in London, seeing how they use this as a currency. I mean, over in Liverpool, how they use this as a currency. And I came back home laser focused. I put everything down. Yes, I was the senior vice president, and I need to correct that for you. Yes, I was the senior vice president for the American slave nation. I represented the 21 million descendants of American slaves that presently live here right now in the United States. Mm-hmm. Not black, not African American, Americans. So they captured individuals in Liverpool and them and sent them here to America. And we were considered property during the Republic era of the United States. Slave master was having sex with his property, and 9 months later, that baby popped out here on American soil. That's not an African American, that's American. You always put the country in front of America that you were born in. Those babies were born here in these 7 southern states. Those are Americans. Those are Americans firstborn. And they brought this group here these individuals here by force, not by choice, so that makes them non-immigrants. Everybody else that has come to this country, other than the Indians, came here willingly. Those are immigrants. Those that came running from the wars over there in Italy and France, that were looking for a better way of life. They came by choice, not by force. But those that they forced here, brought here, and changed, they're non-immigrants. And the babies that they have had in this country, they're Americans. America created a whole new culture called American slave culture. Slavery was the foundation of the United States of America, and still to this day. It's just got a crack in the foundation where it has to be healed. And that's a whole other subject for another day. But what I'm saying is that all this has driven me. You know, when I look at it now, back to the riots in Los Angeles, the 3 riots I've been a part of there, and then the riot that I've been a part of here in St. Louis, Ferguson, I see the common denominator running through everything, and it's economics. And so that's why I do what I do. I'm on a mission to close the income gap, because the whole thing is about economics. That's the common denominator touching all the issues. And when you address the common denominator, the issues will go away. And so we're going to do it on our watch. And so I've been on this journey here as a captain. I have that process, what it takes to move people from A to B. You know, the airline industry is one of the most successful. Would you agree that the airline industry is a successful industry? They don't have crashes every day. No.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely. I mean, you got thousands of flights that are flying and crisscrossing the airways around the world all day, every day, and the crashes are very rare. It's a
successful process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when it happened, something terribly went wrong. So what I did, I've taken that kind of like that airline model. Before you get on board the airplane, you got to come through TSA. You're not getting on board a jet unless you go to a security checkpoint. It ain't happening. So I looked at it from that perspective, and I set up a TSA. Part of my book, Captain Millionaire, this is your captain speaking, like life lessons learned at 35,000 feet. That's kind of like the ground school, and everything's built around that. It's kind of like the TSA process. It helps people begin to think, speak, and act differently. You know, those that come through the training, their lives going to be changed forever. They'll have a paradigm shift. It will begin to end apathy and hopelessness, because now you have the process to move you from A to B. And then the gold coin is just nothing but another economic engine that we're using attached to the Captain's Millionaire to catapult us to 35,000 feet mentally. I'm so excited about the gold coin piece because we have shifted from an industrial-based society to the knowledge-based economy. And so it's a different paradigm that we're in. And anytime you have a shift in systems, the economics changes. But it is the main thing in the system that everything evolves around. And so cryptocurrency is here to stay. It's not going away. It's here. And so having the gold coin, which is Bitcoin, I don't know if you heard of Bitcoin,
mm-hmm.
but it's Bitcoin's granddaughter. You know, Bitcoin is like the Model T Ford. It was the first one out, and it buys up everybody's coin. Bitcoin does. But the gold coin is Bitcoin's granddaughter. It's 20 times faster than it. Confirmation time. It's lightning speed. But it's the tool that I'm using now for the medium of exchange to begin to empower the people. And you're kind of like an opportunity for those that's ready for financial freedom, being a part of it. Because, just like Bitcoin was trading 9.5 years ago for a half a penny a coin. Today, when I checked it, it was at $7,600 per coin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the gold coin is following that same progression. Last year, it was trading at a half a penny a coin. Today, it was at 15 cents. It has gotten high as up to 60 cents a coin. But it's just like the crypto market. It kind of fluctuates. But the gold coin has been one of the most stable coins out there. And so all my students, I'm having them buy 1,000 coins and come through the Captain's Millionaire Training Program so that they can be able to acquire the knowledge to understand about how the tax codes really work. How can we use that to catapult us and operate in such a manner where we're operating on the B side of the quadrant and the I side of the quadrant. And so, the Word of God says the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. That's Proverbs 1:32b. And so I'm cognitive of that. That's why I put the training in place so that we can become very wise. We'll really know what the wealthy people know. Mm-hmm. They'll have the mind of a captive. They'll be in control of their lives. They'll become principle, purpose, process, precision, people, priority, prosperity, philosophy driven. Their lives are going to change forever. It is what it is. And they'll have a new destination as they walk on the planet. It's going to change their lives. It is what it is. And I did an alpha test and I did several beta tests now, and it has, just the reports coming back, the recommendation, and how it has changed their lives forever. One of your friends, Carolyn, that you mentioned, who turned me on to you, Gerald, she was one of my beta testers.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't get rid of her. She has gone through the training, and it has added value to her life. She said, "I'm sold out, Doc. You so far ahead of everybody." I said, "No, I've been on the journey for the last 50 years to help move us from where we are to where we need to be, and to prepare us for this new information age society, because it's totally different from the industrial age." I wrote a book called Collaboration, Teamwork, and Networking, a case study for systematically working together to achieve successful living. And when you read that book, immediately you're going to have a paradigm shift. You're going to know what the new information age look like, what is the new social model, the new political, the new economic model, and how we put it in place in our urban areas to begin to help elevate us off the bottom. I'm so excited. It's one of the greatest times to be alive right now. And I thank God Almighty, and I give Jesus glory. But just allow me to be on the planet right now during this hour, to be able to put a process in place so it can bring about the healing, be able to bring the people together so that they can live life and have it more abundantly at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely one of those times in history that probably has rarely ever happened before, where the technology is advancing so very quickly, and it's so accessible to the common man that anybody can create a platform. Anybody can go out there and find a way to use the resources that are available to create something amazing. I love it.
Here's the deal, though. Here's the thing, Gerald, that I'll share with you. Yes, we're now in the technology age, the information age, because that's just a part of it. However, if you program junk into a computer, junk will come back out.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to have relevant information for the times in which we're in, so that when we do use that, when we speak, we'll speak with, we can be able to articulate in a manner that we can be able to help bring the people along. Because there's a lot of people out there using technology for the wrong reason, saying the wrong things and leading the people the wrong way. And so that's the flip side of the technology. It's just nothing but a tool for processing and disseminating information.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, I wanted to back up to something that you said a little bit earlier, just to give some context. So I'm not sure if everybody in the audience is familiar with Robert Kiyosaki and the Cashflow Quadrant. So earlier you were talking about shifting over to the B and the I side of the quadrant. So I just want to give some context to you folks out there. If you haven't ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Robert Kiyosaki's second book, The Cashflow Quadrant, what Dr. Higginbotham's talking about is these 4 different quadrants where people create money. And on the left side, you have being an employee or being self-employed, working for yourself. But over on the right side, you have being a business owner, or at the very bottom right, you have being an investor. And that's where your money's making money for you, right? Business owner, your employees are making money for you. As an investor, your money's making money for you. And so he's talking about moving us from the left side of the quadrant to the right side, so that more of us in the Black community are business owners and investors, and that's how we're building our wealth. So I know that most of you out there probably are familiar with that, but I didn't want that piece to just kind of slide on by because you said it pretty quick about moving us to the B and the I side of the quadrant.
Right.
But with that context, I think you segue right into, the conversation about that process of making, creating $1 trillion in assets, making 1 million millionaires. And you were talking about the Captain's Millionaire Training Program. If you don't mind, could you take us a little bit more through the structure of what people would learn going through that program from beginning to end? What have those folks in that beta gone through, and at a high level, what is it that they're learning?
Well, life is governed by laws. It has nothing to do with black or white. It has to do with understanding laws and principles. Our group here, we haven't been taught the law of cash flow. We haven't been taught the law of learning. We haven't been even taught the law of God, even though we claim that we know him. But, God is process-oriented. And in this particular program, the Captain's Millionaire, they're going to learn how to go within. To see, failure to go within, you will go without. And that's been one of the big pieces. But they're going to learn the process of how to go within inside you and be able to say certain words that will begin to trigger things to begin to empower you from within. It also, you'll get a new destination. As I say, I'll put this out there. I ask people, what's your destination as we walk on the planet? And everybody want to tell me about the destination after they leave the planet. And I tell them, basically, you may not even get to that place if you haven't gotten to this place first. But for example, in Psalm 66:12, it talks about, I've caused men to ride over your head. You've gone through fire and through water, but I brought you out into a wealthy place. Our group haven't made the wealthy place their destination. You're not going unless you make it your destination. It ain't happening. And so part of the training begins to help them to give the tools to begin to line up so you can get to the wealthy place. You'll learn about the 10 areas of the wealthy place in your life, where you want to get all 10 in each one of those 10 areas. They'll begin to have a mindset of a captain's millionaire. You will know what a millionaire looks like. You'll be able to learn the language of the rich. The only difference between rich people and poor people, it's not money, it's words. Rich people have a rich vocabulary. Poor people have a poor one. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. We've been getting what we've been speaking. So they'll begin to learn how to change how they've been thinking. Because when you change how you've been thinking, you'll change what you've been speaking, and as well as your actions that will produce the result. That's the TSA process. And so everyone has to come through that training. They're going to learn about really how to become healthy. They'll learn the formula of wealth creation. It's a formula that no one taught us. I had to learn this stuff. And so I said, gosh, how many people know this? I said, look at the poverty. The rich 1%ers know it. But our culture, the people on the bottom don't know it. And so I've helped to set it up so it's an internet-based training where you will go through 22 different modules. Self-study. See, there's 3 levels: dependency, independent, interdependency. You cannot jump from being a dependent to interdependency without having done an independent thing. And so this is the independent training, relevant training, that catapults you to a whole nother level in your thinking, in your speaking, and your actions. And then you'll learn the principles. There's 15 principles. Even if you took one of them and applied it to your life, it'll change it immediately. We just hadn't had the right stuff. And so we have been being destroyed for lack of knowledge. And so it has taken all these years to put this thing together. And I was saying, God, Lord, why so long? He said, it's also about timing. And the time is now for those that's ready to cross over to become a captain's millionaire, because it's going to change their life forever. And then when you come through this training, also, I have piece in there which teach on cryptocurrency. What it is, what it's not, 10 simple lessons. You're going to have a handle on it very, very quickly. And here's the other thing that I want to do for those that come through the training. I'm going to give everybody 100 gold coins. 50 when they start and 50 when they complete the process. That's the motivational piece to get people going. See, I have the 3 R's. I know people want to talk about reading, writing, and arithmetic. I don't know how they can get an R out of arithmetic, but the 3 R's that I have for us is relevancy, reinforcement, and reward. The information is relevant. We have a dynamic process to make sure that it gets enforced, and then we attach a reward to it when you complete it, so learning takes place. See, we now quickly have to, and part of the process too, they're going to learn how to learn, unlearn, and relearn. It's going to change them. I'm just telling you, you can't not come through this process and get this type of information that won't change you. It's
and
impossible.
What were those 3 R's again? You said relevancy and reward. What's the one in the middle?
Relevancy. Information has to be relevant for the time. You have to have a dynamic process to reinforce that information. And then you have to attach a reward to it. Then and only then will learning take place. So it is a new process. We're in a new system. And so what we did in the old system, and we didn't even participate in the old system other than as consumers in the industrial age. Many of us are still stuck on the plantation in the agriculture age. Mindset, a lot of us have never left the plantation. But now we're in this new information age. And I tell brothers and sisters, it's only at the beginning of a system when it's evolving is when the rules are being made. And if you're not at the table when the rules are being made, you are the lunch. And so we have an opportunity right now. And after they graduate from the Captain's Millionaire process, after they go through TSA training, it's going to create a cadre group of people that think totally different, that really now want to dig into the new social, political, and economic process. They want to go back. They want to learn, earn, and go back and take their communities back. It's a new day. It's a new breeze blowing.
That is definitely a direction that this program exists to try to take our community. And I'm going to highly encourage everybody who's in the audience to check out this program and look at getting involved in it, especially when you're talking about getting 100 free gold coins, getting started in cryptocurrency, and then learning what that is. Just as I guess as a teaser for folks to try to kind of give them an idea of the quality that they're going to get in there. At a high level, could you just tell us what are those 15 principles that you talked about? That'll be the last question I have on this. You said there's 15 principles. If you put any one of them in place, it'll change your life. High level, what are those 15 things?
Well, the first one is decision. We've been asking everyone else to make a decision for us. We have to step up now and make the decision, because life is choice driven. And the quality of life that we live is based on the quality decisions that we make. But if you have not had the right information, you cannot make the right choices. One of the principles is laser focus. We have to become so laser focused now because we've been off course. And having been off course, I should say have never been on course, has got us in the condition that we're in right now as a people. Another one of the principles is about responsibility. We got to stop blaming others, and we have to now become the change that we want to see. And so there's a whole module around responsibility. Another one of the principles is direction. Where you headed? where you're going. Another one of the principles is purpose. Why are you on the planet? What is your purpose for existence? Another one of the principles, goals. What does that really look like? What are you aiming at? Another principle is about being calm, cool, collected. Another principle is confidence. What does that look like? Another principle is affirmations, visualization, progress, drive. And I'm going to stop there because I don't want to give them all to you.
Okay, that's fair enough. Those are great. I gotta ask, number 8, was it confidence or competence?
Confidence. CONFIDENCE. Confidence.
Got it.
Because if you don't have confidence, would you get on board an airplane after talking to a person claiming to be a pilot that didn't have confidence?
No, I wouldn't want to be there. Mm-mm.
Yeah, we got to get past that. We got to get past fear. I mean, so this is a whole process that these are principles that were on the planet before we got here. They'll be here long after we're gone. But we have it now in a way that it will catapult you to a whole nother level, whole new thought process. And when people see other folks now that have come through this training here, they won't recognize them because they will have literally crossed over to a whole new way of thinking, speaking, and acting. Awesome. People say that this is not the person that I used to know. Something happened to them because now they've gotten the information that's been missing for a long time. It's never been put in this process, a dynamic way of doing it.
Awesome.
And then at the same time too, having a captain millionaire mindset, you understanding now what a millionaire look like. See, the thing is, then you really can aim at something because now you have a process for that. You'll have a way to measure it, to measure where am I at in the process. You will answer the tough questions, but it's going to be fun too. It's enlightening. It's empowering. And then having a coach there to help you get through the process. This is your captain speaking, directing you to the wealthy place. Our group, our culture on the bottom, as Americans, they'll never be the same. Because we won't be having our hand out. We'll be giving a hand up to folks.
That's definitely right along the lines of what I want. I love that. That's the end game for me. I want to see our community get to the point where we're functioning as efficiently as every other community who lives in this country, where we are working together, we're sharing the knowledge and the skills that we have with each other. We're even sharing wealth with each other to the point where we're teaching each other how to build wealth, and we don't need from anyone else. We can take care of ourselves, because I feel like that is what breeds equality. You can't really be equal with anybody else, at least in their eyes, or even in your eyes, if you're beholden to them. But if I don't need you and you don't need me, then we can come together as equals and be friends. And I think that's a huge piece of what we've never had in this country. I agree.
Where, and that level there is called interdependency. I'm back to saying that there's been 3 levels: dependency, independent, interdependency. There's a lot of us that are independent financially. Matter of fact, all of us are financially independent. Brother Gerald, you keep your finances over there and I keep mine over here. So we are financially independent. Mm-hmm. But where we got to go is that next level, interdependency. And that's a whole different process. And in this program here, I'm going to teach on the law of cash flow. A rich person taught me this principle here. Oh, Jesus. Our group don't know. You can only do better when you know better. And it takes us, I'm going to say this here since we're on the conversation, because normally I try and keep the two of them separate. But I'm American. I'm a descendant of American slaves. You know, our ancestors got kicked off the plantation. They didn't give them no type of economic emancipation, didn't teach them about how to be financial intelligence or how to get into mainstream America or Wall Street. So that culture, the American slave culture, has been struggling for the last 147 years since they got kicked off the plantation. And it's been by design. They moved us off the plantation and we became consumers in that industrial age. And now that we're into the new system, the information age, it's not totally in place yet. And so I'm totally committed to putting in the new information age social economic model, community model. I call it the success community. But I have to do this piece here, this front end piece here, the Captain's Millionaire Training. It's the security checkpoint. People cannot cross over into the new success community until they come through this process here. I've been at this thing here now for the last 30 years in St. Louis testing the model. And everything that I have done up until this point has been to create it to make it even better. I wish I would have known what I know now back here when I launched this thing here in 1990. But I didn't know. I was out here with this new information age, just like the Wild Wild West back in the part of the industrial age. Well, we're in the new Wild Wild West of the information age. But I've been out there with others that has come through the process. We have now learned. And now we're ready to roll it out on a massive scale. But the first piece, we're going to drive 1 million millionaires through this is your captain speaking, the Captain's Millionaire Training. Their lives are not going to ever be the same. It's over. And I can tell you, because we're now in this new economic system, it's going to raise up millionaires. Because I'm going to have all my students go and buy 1,000 gold coins. Because this is Bitcoin's granddaughter. She's taking the same path that Bitcoin is taking at the moment. You got 1,000 coins and you start trading at $1,000 a coin. That's $1 million. I don't care how you multiply it. Mm. It is what it is. And this is, I'm calling the things that are not as though they were. This is not an investment program. This is about a freedom program. Those that's ready to be empowered. And what we have to begin to do is we have to be principle centered. And one of the principles that we must use, and I use this every time I even go out to the airplane, always begin with the end in mind. Before I jump in the jet, my mindset already at that new destination. I'm not trying. If San Francisco is my destination, I'm not trying to go to Los Angeles. I'm laser focused on getting specifically to that destination. I see myself already there. Well, that's a principle. That's a way of life for me. I'm on the I side of the quadrant. I know folks call that the investor side, but I like to call that invest in yourself, invest in your knowledge. And because we have the gold coin, I want to invest back in the people, because the gold coin is going to do what Bitcoin has done. And what I'm excited about just here in the last day or two, the SEC just said that Bitcoin does not pose a threat or does not qualify as a security. It is a commodity. And I said, so is gold coin. It's its granddaughter. So we got the green light. We've been cleared for takeoff. We can throttle up now. We can take the folks at 35,000 feet mentally so they can see the big picture of what's been going on, so they can go back into their communities and bring about the change that so desperately needed.
So I want to quickly ask you about that last thing you just said. The government just said that Bitcoin is not a security, it's a commodity, and that's a good thing for us out here in the market. Now, I'm going to throw my idea out there of why that is, but definitely correct me. I feel like if it's regulated as a security, then there there are a lot of new regulations. There's a lot of limitations that are put onto it, and it makes it much more difficult for common people to just get their hands on it and then use it in order to build wealth. But if it's a commodity, then it is basically available in the free market, and anyone who has the ability to purchase it can purchase it and then use that as a tool. That's my guess, but
that's good. But can I build on that? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The reason why Bitcoin, always got to understand the why. Why was it created? Back in 2008, we had the stock market crash, the mortgages, and so the bankers went into foreclosures. The bankers, begging President Obama for money. I didn't mean to put that out there, and so they got a lot of money here from the federal government. Shitaka Nakamoto created a concept. He wrote a concept paper and introduced it to the intellectual computer world that came up with the first protocol to create a financial institution or a financial process that did not rely on any central authority or any government agency, to take the middle people out of the way. And the reason why they cannot touch Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, it doesn't have no middleman. There is no banker. The middleman has been moved. And so you got blockchain technology that you could, a public accounting system that you can see it 24 hours a day. It's open to the public. And it can't be hacked. That's how powerful this thing is. Now, the other reason why they can't touch it, because it's a mined coin, meaning computers, just like in GoldCoin is a mined coin. Every day, 2,880 coins are mined. Every day. There'll never be no more than 72 million gold coins, and right now we're at just over 41 million. So there's 31 million coins that will be mined over the next 85 years. And it's called proof of work. There's POW, proof of work, and then there's proof of concept. And so because this is a mined coin, just like if you went out there and did mining looking for gold or diamond, you had to do something. It doesn't violate any SEC. It's not about an investment. It's not you giving me money so that I can go build a company for you, and if there's a return on it, I can pay you. Well, the Security Exchange Commission, and it was clear the other day with that report that they just put out here, they regulate that. But because Bitcoin is a mined coin, proof of work coin, it is not a security. It's a commodity. And people can buy it and use it. And he was very clear that it is designed to create sovereignty. It is designed to move people off the dollar or any other government currency. He spoke that here on this, and I was listening to him. I said, you got it. And then bells and buzzers was ringing on the inside of me. GoldCoin is Bitcoin's granddaughter. It's a mined coin. And it doesn't fall under any federal regulations. And so that we can use the GoldCoin to catapult us to freedom. It was the bankers in Liverpool. When I went over there, back to Liverpool, the bankers, the Rothschilds, that locked our culture into the lowest level of a real-life monopoly game. And now that we have the GoldCoin cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, either one you use, I prefer the GoldCoin because right now it's trading at 15 cents a coin versus Bitcoin is trading at $7,600 a coin. You know, that opportunity is gone. But the GoldCoin is 15 cents, but it's not going to always remain like that. It's going to take that transition too, like its grandpa has done. We don't need the bankers anymore. They're out of the equation. We can use GoldCoin as our medium of exchange. That's what I'm excited about. We now have true sovereignty, economic freedom. And wow. I could just jump up and down and turn a flip.
Wow. Well, Well, that's a powerful vision, and as you explained it, I can see it very, very clearly, and I can see and understand how you can make 1 million millionaires through. I mean, it's been done already. You talked about a proof of concept. I mean, it's been done through Bitcoin, and it's being done with other coins right now. So you're 100% right. We got to get on board. We have got to get on board. But with that, I want to turn the corner and take us into this last segment of the show. And I want to ask you, the next question here, specifically for you. What is the biggest challenge that you have ever faced, and how did you overcome it, or what did you learn from it?
The biggest challenge that actually, it's a couple of them. And I mean no harm, and I'm being humble, but I have to keep it 100% real. It's the ignorance that's out there among the people. And the only way that you can overcome ignorance is with knowledge. And the second thing that I've learned is that you have to be the change that you want to see. When people see it working in your life, then it makes it easier for them to follow. And the third thing is that whoever controls the gold makes the rules. In the industrial age, it was the bankers, and they only want to give you enough money to fail, not to succeed. And so I've learned that you have to have your own economic engine. And that's why I'm so honored and glad that we now have the gold coin. Because the gold coin is the economic engine. It's the new digital cash. It's the new digital gold of this new era that we're in. What I have to do now is what I'm doing, launching the Captain's Millionaire Training Program, and giving so much value. Because that's what life is all about. It's about caring, sharing, adding value to someone or something other than yourself. This program has so much value that people are going to say, I want to share this with other people, have them get involved in the process, because this is what it did for me. So it was the ignorance out there that I've learned that is so blatant and perverse in our communities across America. But now having the process that running in place where everybody will hear the same thing when they come through the training in a systematic way is key, is paramount. And that's what I like about the airline industry. They have processes. Everybody got to go through security checkpoint. I don't care how many times you've flown on an airplane. You still got to come through security checkpoint every time. They have a systematic ABCD process that makes it a success. And I didn't have that in the beginning. I was out there doing willy-nilly trying to make it happen. Mm-hmm. But I learned from it. And that's where we are today now. We have those processes that will catapult us. I see that in one generation, we will have flipped the script. In one generation.
I hope you are right. I can see it happening if we do follow this process. And so speaking on that, what is the first step for the folks in the audience? If somebody wants to pick up their bags and come down and go through security and get started with this program, what do they need to do? How do they get in contact with you? How do they sign up for the program? Where do they go?
Well, the first phase of this process here is that I set up on Facebook. If you go out to Facebook and put in Captains with the S and Millionaires with the S, just go out and hit the like button. Just go out and hit the like button. The website is going to go live here in a few days, the captainsmillionaire.net or the captainsmillionaire.com. But right now, for those that's serious, go out there to Facebook and type in the search there, Captain's Millionaire, and just hit like. And I put a few things out there so people can feel it. The other thing is, begin to get my book. This is your captain speaking. Life lessons learned at 35,000 feet. It's out at Amazon. Because that is kind of like ground school. You know, I use the pilot. That's just been for the last 42 years, my life, part of my life. Well, the This Is Your Captain Speaking book is kind of like the ground school book. The first 6 principles is based on that book. Get the book. You know, when they get the book, actions speak louder than words, because then they'll be ready to roll through the process. They can do that today.
Awesome. That sounds good. And if anybody wanted to reach out and connect with you, is the Facebook page the same place as well? Just go there and leave you a message? Or how would we do that?
They can leave me a message there, or they can send me a message to Captain Dr. G at captainsmillionaires.com. It's kind of long, but it's Captain Doctor. It's Captain with a DR and a G at captains with the S, millionaires with the S.com.
Got it.
I'm so excited about meeting you, Brother Gerald, and it's been I'm honored that you would even allow me to come on the show to share this information with your listening audience. And I just hope and pray that there will be some that say, "Hey, I got to have that. That belongs to me."
This has definitely been eye-opening for me. You're right in line with the same things that I wanted to build this platform with. The difference is that, you know, I'm where you were 30 years ago, right? I'm feeling around in the dark. I know what the end game looks like, but I'm feeling around with the dark. I don't have the process yet. And so when I come across and I see a person who has already figured out a process that can work, it makes me excited, because that's just less work that I have to do, right? All I have to do is connect you with the people who need it, and we get people to the finish line faster. So I'm so happy that Carol connected us so that we could get your message out here. And I want to close it up with the last question that I always ask here on the Buy Black podcast. You know, what is your number one piece of advice for the listening community as a whole?
To fear not. To fear not. I'll give you an example. When I was younger, people were saying, "You don't want to fly an airplane. Oh, man, you get up there, you'd be scared. Your lips will explode at 3,000 feet. And you know what I said? I will never live in fear, other than to fear God, have a reverence for him. I will live on the cutting edge. Don't let fear be a hindrance to you. Rebuke it and keep moving. There's so much out here. If I would allow fear to take over my life, I would have never had the opportunity to do the things that I've been doing. I would say to your group, fear not. Because when you put fear behind you, it opens up the doors to opportunities and to greatness. And then and only then can you be able to reach your full potential while you were created to be on the planet.
That's perfect. That is perfect. That is a perfect way to end this show. Dr. Higginbotham, Gerald, other Gerald, you have blessed us with a great deal of knowledge and information today. And I think most importantly, you've laid out a blueprint that we can start using immediately to start moving towards that point of independence and economic freedom, so that we can eventually get to that role of interdependence among each other and with the rest of the society as Americans. So I love the vision. I love the process you put in place. And I'm just talking to everybody out there listening right now. Visit Captain's Millionaires Facebook page, like the page. We're going to put a link to the page in the show notes, as well as a link to This Is Your Captain Speaking on Amazon, where you can go and find that book. You definitely got to have the background information before you can step forward and start walking through the process. So we're going to put that out there. And then I'll also, if you want to reach out and talk to Dr. Captain G, It's going to be Captain DRG at captainsmillionaires.com. We'll also get those in the show notes. Is there anything else that you want to give to people before we head out of here today?
Yeah, they better fasten their seatbelt because we're headed to the wealthy place. Their life will never, ever be the same. This is your captain speaking.
I love it. Well, that is it today, guys. We are out of here. Thanks for joining us.